pocket aces in a straddled pot? This one's gonna be big. Hello world, my name's Kyle Fischl, and this is gonna be episode 40 of my poker vlog. I'm going to cover a session I played February 15th. So room was packed. There was a ton of recreational players there that were definitely willing to throw the money around. You know, it was a good time. So we're gonna get right into the hands. First interesting hand. I'm in the cutoff and I have king 5 of hearts. I make it 25. The button calls, small blind folds. Well, the big blind, who is Meathead, who I play many hands with in this session, he raises to $135, and it's back to me. Now, he's a player with a very, very high 3-betting frequency. He's done it to me at least 3 or 4 times in a row, and I've just folded every time. And the fact that I've actually had hands like this every time and I'm just bleeding money, eventually, this is one of the hands where I'm just going to stand my ground and see what develops. Additionally, suited king doesn't play too bad. I'm in position. I don't expect the button to call, and I'll be heads up. I'm going to play this hand as if it's ace queen, ace jack, or ace 10. I can't really have ace king here because I would 4-bet. When he makes it such a large sizing, to me, it really just screams like a small pocket pair or some kind of suited connectors. It's never really ace X because he would choose a more standard 3-betting size with that. If it was stronger than like 10s plus, he would choose a more standard size. So to me, it feels like a weak pocket pair or possibly a suited connector. Now, I'm nearly certain I'm going to win this hand on any ace high board. So I call, the button folds, and the flop is pretty perfect for me. It's ace 4 deuce with 1 heart. So we get the ace high board. I just don't ever believe he has an ace, and I can have every ace in the deck as I raised called. Plan is to just rep it and go with it, and if he calls, just fall back on my gut shot and lose if I have to. He checks. Now is the time for sizing. When I'm trying to rep an ace, I'm just trying to act like I have ace jack or ace queen or ace 10, something like that. I think that with a dry board such as this, if I had any ace, I would down bet slightly. The sizing that I would do with all my aces would be $125. So that's what I bet. I expect it to fold just and win some of the time. But if not, I have the betting lead now, and I can just check the turn if it's a complete brick. Just go for my gut shot / king because I think that my king is live and definitely good here. So he takes a little bit and then calls. The turn is the queen of hearts. Now, this is 100% not a card I'm going to check back. When he checks it to me, I just gained so much equity, so many outs. I could have ace queen and I play it the same way, and it's a second overcard. If he has some kind of pocket pair, I just don't think he can ever call this, because with 2 overcards, I should and will usually have every ace in the deck. I decide on a sizing of all in.
The whooshy finger hold. Oh, you know this hold. You're bluffing. You're bluffing!
Which is, he asks for a count, which is $435. He had me covered at the time. He thinks about it for a bit, and then he kind of chuckles and says, yeah, I guess your hearts are good. And then he folds.
Shifu didn't teach you that. Nope. I figured it out. Skadoosh.
Claims that he had pocket 6s. Definitely had enough equity to make this move profitable long term. It worked out as if you call there with 6s when I should and always do have every ace, and this happens to be the one time I'm bluffing. So it's a venturous call, let's just say. But for him, on the flop, it's actually a perfectly reasonable and even good call with only 1 overcard, as I could shut down, and I was going to if I didn't improve equity. So his call on the flop with 6s is definitely, I'd say, standard, and then pretty standard of a fold on the turn when I, ship it.
No ship, Sherlock.
So I think both players played that hand relatively well. So next hand of note. There is a button straddle. 1 limper to me. I am in middle position, and I have pocket aces. Greatest hand that you could ever have at this time in a Texas Hold'em hand. So I make it $50. I size up because at least charge the people who want to call it nonsense and, punish them when the board comes unconnected. Well, a late position player cold calls, the button straddler thinks for a little bit of time and then calls, and the limper calls as well. So 4 ways with aces is not the greatest situation. So that we do, we'll navigate depending on the board. The board is 6-4 deuce, 2 spades. Now this is a board that I should just have the best hand always. Like if you called with exactly 5-3 or 6-4, those are pretty the only two hands that might call and be beating me, then I'm just gonna, pay you off, and it is what it is. Theoretically, I could get value from any other pocket pair and flush draws. So when it checks to me, I go for a 3/4 sizing, $150, because I'm gonna size up. If you're chasing a flush, you're gonna pay for it. Cold caller folds, the button pretty much snap jams all in for $660. Folds back to me. I pretty much snap call. Like, I've seen this player just overvalue flush draws so often. Sometimes they got there, sometimes they didn't. He played flush draws fast and heavy. And even with an ace blocker, such disbeliever, 2x potting it is a draw. It's never a good hand ever. Maybe you have 6-7 or ace-6 and you think it's good. 7s, 8s, 9s make sense, and then flush draws. I beat all of that pretty hard. I just snap call and show. Turn is a 3, river is a 5 of spades, which is bad because I think I'm chopping. No, not this time, because he has king 3 of spades. I'm not gonna lie, that one hurt a lot, like so much. It hurt like... I mean, he couldn't even have like king queen of spades. It was king 3. It was, if you're gonna play it and that's your flop, like, yeah, you go with it. Like, you have a good draw. However, my argument for not doing it is I'm a pre-flop aggressor, made it 5x, and then continued into 3 people for a 3/4 sizing. Like my hand, how I'm playing it is so strong. Theoretically, I either have an overpair, aces, kings, or queens, and he has the king of spades, so I can't have ace, king, or ace, queen of spades, because I'd continue with a flush draw, but not just a random ace, king, 2 overs. When I have the ace, x of spades and continue, I'm snapping you, and you're drawing very, very thin. And when I just have aces, kings, or queens, I'm pretty much calling the entire time anyway. You are a slight dog, but not a huge one. Either way, that's what happened. I don't think that a jam there is correct, theoretically, but worked out for this guy. We are instantly in the hole for around $800. Is never a good sign. When you're in there really quick, this was like in the first hour and a half I was at the card room. It's not how you want to start a session, but I think I can bring it back, but it turns out I can't because I tilt pretty hard in this session. I'm not immune to tilting a bit, especially when a hand that large and semi-ridiculous happened. Next interesting hand. I am in middle position and choose to bet $20 with 4-5 of clubs, as clearly the wheels have come off and I'm opening my range to nearly every suited connector, every pair, every suited ace. I've opened it up as I have to make something happen and come back. So 4-5 clubs, definitely gonna make it 20. I get one caller. Meathead is in late position, and he chooses to make it 60, 3-betting me again. Folds back to me, I call because I hate money, and the limper folds. So we are heads up to a flop of queen 5-5. So we flop gin, we check to him, and we're just hoping he fires something. I mean, he 3-bet this pot. It's a dry board. I think he's gonna bet small most of the time with every ace X and actually queen and heart draw that there is. So when he bets 35, he definitely still has a really wide range. There's many different hands he can have, and I'm just gonna call once and see what the turn card is. Turn is an offsuit 7. As it was not a heart, I'm gonna lead here for $75. I lead because I have the best hand, nearly guaranteed, and I don't really want this to check through. I'm trying to get 3 streets at least, so I'm just gonna lead with trips and reevaluate if a heart comes. He calls pretty quickly, and the river is the last 5 in the deck. Dealer put that one out there too. Now that I'm first to act and I took the betting lead, now is the question of what sizing to do.
Against your average guy, I'd set a bear trap, hardly bet at all. Let him walk into it. But KGB's too smart for that. So what I've got to do is overbet the pot. Make it look like I'm trying to buy it.
It's especially interesting against, this player type. I'm gonna go big with it. I'm gonna go full polarizing sizing, hope a disbelieving player calls. I make it 250. Any queen is pretty much guaranteed to call. I think I choose this sizing because it looks kind of bluffy. I could have missed hearts here. The player knows that I can make moves on him. I think that with our specific dynamic, he could even pay off with ace king type hand, just fully disbelieving, maybe even a 7, but he shouldn't really have any of those. Either way, we full polarize it. He grabs the chips pretty quickly, but thinks for like a minute and a half before finally calling, and I show quads and he does not show, but claims that he did have a queen and almost folded because he just knew that there's no way I'm ever bluffing on this board. We got lucky on that one. Next interesting hand. I am in middle position with 2 limpers to me. I have 8-9 of clubs. I choose to limp as I got a little bit of profit back. Not trying to tilt it off, but still in the hole, so we gotta keep going. The button makes it $25. Both blinds call, both limpers call, I call. Fairly big pot, and the flop is Queen 8-4, blinds check, limpers check, I check, button bets. It folds all the way back to me, and I'm last to act, as the pot is at a size where I think I can easily make this call and, reevaluate, maybe even just hope for an 8 or a 9 if he has a queen. So I'm going to peel one definitely as I'm tilting my face off. The turn is the Jack of Hearts. Kind of an okay card. I pick up a gut shot. Because it coordinates the board a little bit more, I'm pretty much ready to just fold if my opponent bets again, especially as it's another overcard. It's just not a great one, but when I check to him, he checks it back, and I'm quite happy to see a red 10 on the river. As we go runner straight, do not want this to check through ever. I bet $55, same sizing he chose on the flop. I want to guarantee a call here with any ace, queen, pocket queens, queen, king, any of that stuff. I want to make sure that I get some value for this garbage hand. And my opponent pretty much snap raises to 205.
You have done that yourself.
And I just about snap call, but I actually take a second because, it was a red 10, and I've made these mistakes before, so I had to double check the board to make sure there wasn't a flush out there. And then before I call, it felt so weird. I'm just like, I guess you have ace king on a 4-liner. It's such a underbluffed spot, and I have a 9. I just think he has it, and I fold. I show the 9 as I fold, and this opponent does show me ace king of hearts. He thought that with that jack he would just hope to realize his equity, which is a fine move. I mean, you could bet or check there. Any option is good. He drills it. And I believe in this hand, if I check to him and he bets one of my sizing, I would raise and possibly raise all in and just lose. So I guess I was lucky that I let out and then got raised and then got to evaluate and decide to let it go. Next hand of note, I am in early position. I make it $20 with ace 9 of hearts, and Meathead 3 bets me again because that's his favorite move. He makes it 75 this time with a suited ace. As I'm desperately trying to get to even, I'm calling, and when the flop is 9-7 deuce 1 heart, I'm pretty much ready to just go with this hand. I check to him in flow, and he bets $125. He has less than 300 behind, and I kind of decide that I'm never really going to get away from this hand unless there was like the worst run out ever. I think that as he 3-bets me so often, there's a decent percentage of the time that he just has ace X, like just complete overcards, and is just doing our standard C bet. So I jam, and he does not snap call, but he does call within like 10 seconds, which I know that I'm definitely behind when he calls that quickly. So I'm hoping for a favorable run out. The turn is a queen of hearts, so I feel like I might get there, but the river is a 6, so no dice.
Not the day.
I never think I'm good here at all, and I just say 1 pair, and he says jacks, and Those are definitely good. The only way I think I could ever win this hand is I just call that bet and the Queen of Hearts turns, and I just, being first to act, can just rip it on him. But even then, I think jacks are just too strong to fold. So when that Queen of Hearts turns, I'm definitely getting it in. But I think with his specific stack sizing at the time, it's just going this way. Not running well at all. I switched tables shortly after that. I really don't do it, but I had people at another table that wanted me to move, so I moved to play with some friendly regs. This hand is against that friendly reg. I button straddle as I'm desperately trying to get back to even. The big blind is a very nice reg, fairly competent. I really haven't played with him too much, so I don't have a whole lot of information about him, but I would definitely classify him as a winning player, so we're going to proceed with caution. So I button straddle, big blind calls, two more limpers call. I have pocket kings and a button straddle. Somehow I have a premium when I've straddled, so I make it $50 to go. All four players call, and you already know the flop is ace high, so, you know, that's just a guaranteed. And the big blind leads out for 85. It folds back to me. It's a donk lead. Those are usually weak. Additionally, what ace does he have here? Ever? He limped with what, maybe ace 5 or lower, and then called and hit an ace? It's possible. But if you did do that, why would you lead with an ace? To me, the lead is never an ace, and even if it is, it's never a strong ace ever, as he limped and then called and then decided to lead. So I already discount an ace completely from any hand he could possibly have, and I just raised to 200 for two reasons. One, I could have every ace face card in the deck, which just smashes this board. Additionally, I want to have the betting lead in case he calls. I don't want to just call, and wonder where I am the entire step of the way. So I just raised to 200, and he folds pretty quickly. So I'm not sure what he had. If you're watching this video, comment on what you had, because I'm quite interested. Yeah, that was the reasoning for that raise, and it got an instant result. So that was good. And then the final hand of note for that session. Another player button straddles with two limps. I have ace king of clubs. I make it $50 again. We are going 4 ways to a flop, which comes ace queen 5 rainbow. Small blind limp called. He checks to me. I'm never gonna just check here. I should have the best hand most of the time, nearly always. So I bet $85. The button calls pretty quickly, and then the small blind makes it $185. In this instance, I don't think that he ever has any other hand besides ace queen. If you have ace queen in the small blind in a button straddled pot, just raising under the gun with ace queen seems a little bit too strong. I probably would just call with ace queen under the gun because it's out of position. It's just real bad situation to be in. But then he check raises two opponents that called, and he check raised really small, 85 to 185. He's not afraid of anything because he's got the board so locked up. He wants any ace to call him. That was my read at the time. He should never have aces or queens because he just limp called with that. I just fold, just how I've been running. I have a terrible feeling about it. Well, the button actually back raises, jams all in, and then the small blind snap calls. And I'm just like, what do you people have? And the button had pocket 5s, and the small blind did have ace queen. Third best on the flop with ace king when I flop an ace. Somehow the run out, the small blind gets the case ace for more than a full double up, drawing so thin that it's crazy. So this session did not go how I wanted it to go. Obviously, I had high expectations. I was on such a high upswing that I kind of expected to continue it. The minute in poker you think you have it figured out and you think that you're just going to crush the game, you're put in your place real quickly. $1,424 of loss, because it's not my day. If you enjoyed the video, please comment on any hand that you think I played good or horrible, or would like further explanation on my thought process, and I get back to most people. Thank you for watching. There'll be more to come next week as I show how to get out of a downswing.